So I'm 29 and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I have taken on many different kinds of jobs, hoping I'd figure it out in my 20s and along the way an answer would show up, but no answer has shown up at all. Nothing. So I'm sitting down with myself and I'm asking myself this question: how to figure out my life, 29-year-old edition. What does figuring out my life really look like? Well, I've pretty much broken it down to these four categories: what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I like, and what brings me joy. So first, what I don't like. Around October 14th of last year, I was stuck in life. I was at a job I hated and needed a change in pace. In that job, I had this thought to myself: I don't like working at a cafe, so my next job won't be in a cafe. So what if I had that same approach with my life? If I can figure out the things I don't like, I'll know which direction to not go in, and hopefully the opposite direction will point towards the things I do like. Sounds like a smart plan, right? No. Mm-mm. I pretty much found out all the many things that I do not like. For example, I don't like working in cafes. The more I work in the cafe industry, the more I hate people. Not dislike, hate. The stupidity I deal with on a daily basis should honestly really be studied. Every time I work at a cafe, I go in, loving meeting new people, and coming out of the job, I come back with a burning hatred for everyone I meet. I don't like working in food either. Similar to the cafe service industry, I just start to hate people. It's not all the customers that drive me crazy, but just a selected few with their very specific, simple questions that can't be answered if they just look at the menu. I don't like working in a animated film production. I think making a movie from scratch to finish is actually really cool. From script to storyboard to the actual animation to the lighting and then to the final finishing touches. So much time and energy goes into it, which I really respect. I was intrigued by the whole process of it, but after finishing the animation job, I didn't really need to participate in it again. I think my curiosity was satiated and I was satisfied with the experience I got. The people I worked with were amazing, talented, and very kind. So it definitely wasn't the team I was a part of, nor my bosses, that made me dislike the animated industry. It just wasn't meant to be, which was a very hard pill to swallow because the animation industry is what I really wanted to be in when I was in college. I don't really like supporting other people's creative goals, especially when I don't like the project. I think for this one, I just need to find a project I really love and admire, but at the moment, I haven't really found that yet. And because I don't like the project I'm working on, I hate giving out my creative ideas to the project that may or may not use my ideas. I don't like startups. Somehow in a startup, I become the assistant, the travel agent, the taxi driver, the food deliverer, the office assistant, the IT tech person, the coffee runner, somehow a mother, the Fix It Felix guy from Wreck-It Ralph, a therapist, and the list pretty much goes on and on and on. The pay is great, but definitely not worth the amount of hats I have to wear. So in the end, this plan of mine, I did figure out what I didn't like. However, I did discover the things that I'm good at. Trying out multiple things in my 20s really worked out in my favor because I pretty much gathered all these different kinds of tools for my imaginary toolbox. One thing I noticed about myself is I can pick up on things pretty quickly. For example, whether it be taking orders and learning a menu, I got it. Want me to build a standing desk? Sure. You want me to print a really large poster of a random image? Beep beep, boop boop honey. Bake a key lime pie? Alexa, play How Sweet by New Jeans. I've also realized I'm good at learning from my mistakes. The more I make mistakes, the faster I learn. And Usually, most of the time, I don't make the same mistakes twice. It sounds like I'm in an interview right now, but it is really the truth. At first, I was kind of nervous and anxious to make all these mistakes in my life, but I'm realizing I kind of need to make the mistakes if I'm going to be learning as quick as I can. I'm good at adapting as well. You might as well call me Ditto because I can transform to any environment I'm put into. It's probably because I worked all these random jobs that I've become able to morph into what the situation needs. I'm a bit like a multi-tool. A gay multi-tool. Or maybe I'm like clay. Mold me to whatever shape and form you'd like and shove me back into that plastic Crayola mug. Now that I've known what I don't like and what I'm good at, what's next on the list? What do I do next? That's why I really had to sit down with myself and figure out what I like. Here is the issue with this girl. I have way too many things that I like. Like, a lot. I like painting, music, volleyball, plants, cooking, film, graphic design posters, editing, taking photos, sewing, making clothes, baking. If I had a drink in my hand, I could probably go on and on and on. And that is pretty much the issue, which is a very great issue to have. I'm stuck at all these wonderful things that I just want to learn more about and that I'm curious about. It's definitely better than not having any interest, but I'm tired. I'm really tired. When I do interviews, most of the time I'll get the question of, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Or what's your long-term goal? And this is what I usually tell them. I tell them, if I tried out everything I was curious about in my 20s, in my 30s, I would have a long list of things I can choose from. The conflict is, there are still more things I want to try. Oh my god, I know. Life is so large and grand and so full of different opportunities that, like a kid in a candy store, I want to taste them all. The lollipops, the gums, the everlasting gobstoppers, all of them. It'd be a shame to just stick to one thing for the rest of my life. It'd be unfair to myself that is constantly curious to not try everything at least once. So what do you do when you want to try them all, and how do you choose from the endless list that keeps growing pretty much daily? You discover and choose which brings you the most joy. So what is joy? According to Merriam-Webster, joy is a feeling of great happiness or pleasure, a source of cause or delight. Compared to happiness, I consider joy a lasting feeling that goes beyond a single moment. It lingers on, leaving you wanting more, while happiness is just fleeting. The idea is very simple. Follow what brings you joy. For years, most of my 20s, especially after college, I've been chasing the next job title or pretty much the next career, but I've never really focused on chasing after a feeling, especially joy. And so some of the questions that I've been chasing after are, what makes me excited for life? What gives me that emotion of excitement and yearning to live when I wake up in the morning? At the moment, I've narrowed it down to these few things. First we have is cooking. I love to cook. From prepping the ingredients and spices to the setting of the dinner table, I really love each moment. But the moment that brings me most joy is that liminal space, that in-between space. When you're waiting for the meat to cook fully or the pasta in the water to be al dente, in that moment, if you have people in the kitchen, you get to have conversations with them. You get to kind of like fill that empty space that way. Recently, I was in Joshua Tree with a couple of my girlies and my besties, and in the kitchen were two of my friends that I've known about for like 2 years now. We got to talk about random topics from what we were currently cooking to the absolute red flags and hard no's we see for men. I think it was in that moment that I saw my future self and just hosting a lot more like dinner parties, because I really felt a lot of love, joy, and life in that like in-between state of cooking. Next we have is gay volleyball. I have not had so many gay friends all in one place like our gay volleyball league. It's actually very refreshing to meet other gay people that isn't sex focused. Like, our common denominator and interest is volleyball, and that brings me so much joy. So in high school, I used to play indoor volleyball, and that was a really fun time because I actually really enjoyed the sport and it was getting very competitive. Revisiting the same sport again in a new context, like a queer-friendly space, and as a grown adult is actually very, very exciting. Volleyball has become the sport of just a little bit more sexy, quirky, and very, very competitive in a very good way. I don't know, I think like queer volleyball, gay volleyball is just so much more fun. So the next is creating, and in parentheses I put painting. Seeing a big blank canvas can be daunting at first, but for me, the moment I put the first stroke of paint down, I feel like a child in daycare. Just drawing and painting away with no worries for the future or the past. Just living in the moment, trying to color in that circle or draw that monster's leg. I think in the moment of painting, I'm creating these non-tangible ideas in my head and bringing them into the physical world. Like, come on, like how cool is that? And then I have creating again, but in another parentheses it's gonna be YouTube. So this has been a recent joy for me. It wasn't until recently that I've actually enjoyed seeing myself on the camera or in photos. Looking back, I had found myself behind the camera for most of my memories in my life. I was taking photos of others or capturing videos for all my friends. I didn't mind it at all. It's actually fun being the cameraman, but it's also fun being the subject once in a while. Making videos for YouTube, I can pretty much be myself and capture my own memories. It's pretty rewarding to go back and look at these videos I've been making. The camera captures a moment in time, and it's kind of cool to see where I was mentally and physically and emotionally through these videos. So that's pretty much it. Have I figured out my life? Not really. Not at all. Not really, no. I'm unsure if I'm closer to where I should be than I was a few years ago, but for some reason I feel very calm. From my consistent journaling that I've been doing for about like 2-3 years, I've been seeing that life always figures itself out. Like, the things that I was worrying about in that moment always just seem to figure itself out, which is why I think I'm a little bit more calm this time around. So there really is no point of stressing over my current situation when I know it's gonna play out pretty well by itself. And that was pretty much the end of the video. There is one question that I received during my Joshua trip that I kind of want to give to everyone else. It's a very fun question. The question pretty much was, if you were to choose to experience a protagonist POV of a film, so you're experiencing their actions, their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, just all of it, the whole package, which film would you be in and why? Think on it, and I'll see everyone in the next video.